Lots of Tesla stock news today. Let's start with something that positively surprised me as a Tesla stock investor. Rob Maurer from Tesla Daily does a good job balancing Elon Musk's view that affordability is the key reason EV interest remains low. 19% would prefer an EV versus 68% would prefer a gas-powered car, according to this Washington Post survey, while still making the case for advertising to close the information gap about convenience and cost of charging. Just 42% of Americans think the cost of charging/refueling is lower for EVs. That last part positively surprised me as an investor because it just means there's so much room left for people to learn how much better electric vehicles are. And the transition will accelerate as more people find out about it. Some say we should run advertising to educate the public that it is cheaper to own an EV, basically, when it comes to refueling at least, or charging. We can also just let EVs get cheaper, and by default, the sticker prices will be cheaper, and then it will be obvious you should go with an EV. Or we can also let all of these legacy companies advertise their inferior EVs, and people know generally that Tesla sells EVs. So if you are comparing an EV from, let's say, Ford or GM, many people naturally also compare them to Tesla, and many end up buying a Tesla. Gary also added here, the cost of an advertising campaign, 50 to 100 million, should be as an alternative and not incremental to cutting price. Cutting price on Model Y by $1,000 per car would cost 1.2 billion as an example. The effectiveness of the two alternatives should be compared based on ROI. Here's my quick take on this. I generated millions before from ads, so I know advertising definitely does work. My preference, though, for Tesla in the long term is to keep cutting prices until a point where, yeah, we definitely don't want to cut prices anymore. Then that strangles all the competition. It makes it much more harder for new companies to come in and take anything away from Tesla. Then, once we reach lower margins where we don't want to go any lower than that, then we start advertising, which would boost demand by a lot. One of Tesla's moats is being able to produce EVs at a cheaper price than anyone else. So I would want Tesla to use that mode. If you just advertise very seriously starting from today, that mode is only used for higher margins, not necessarily to eliminate competition. Tesla Chan says that Model 3 Highland has hardware 4. I take this as a rumor. I guess this is from some sort of a Chinese source. There are no details that I can find that would definitely prove this. So for now, I will still assume that this is hardware 3.5. Here's a thought experiment for Tesla owners. If everything about your car stayed the same, but you could magically refill your battery the way gas cars are refilled quickly at gas stations, but not at home, so you cannot charge at home anymore, would you make that change? And most people said no, I would want to keep my car the same. About 74% of people said that. And the rest said, yes, refill my car like a gas car. And that's almost 26% of the people. But this also misses a really big point. We are only asking people that already have EVs. If I had to drive every day far distances, would I have an EV where I would have to road trip? Let's say I was a realtor and I need to drive 5-6 hours a day somehow, and I need to supercharge every single day pretty much. Would I rather than own a gas-powered car? You know I'm a Tesla stock investor. You know I'm extremely bullish about EVs and everything. And I think the EV transition is inevitable, is happening. Charging times will get better, faster, and the range that you can get from EVs will improve. But right now, if I had to supercharge every single day, I'm taking a gas car. In the Model 3 that I have right now, actually, we ordered a new one and we were about to take delivery, and then our friend said, hey, I want to get rid of my Model 3 because we have to supercharge every single day and it's just a pain in the butt. So they sold theirs to us. Every time I mention that, someone in the comments gets really upset, but this is actually an opportunity because this problem will go away, which means later it will be easier to sell more EVs. But right now, if you look at the survey, almost 26% of the people still would prefer to have it more like a gas car in terms of refueling the car. That's still a large number, and keep in mind, this is mostly EV owners. So already it's a bit subjective because you don't have the people in the survey that naturally would prefer only a gas-powered car the way it's refueled. Tesla has revealed that once Cybertruck production is ramped up, that Giga Texas will have over 60,000 employees. They have 20,000 employees inside currently, according to a public presentation by Jason Shawman. At the end of 2022, Tesla had 12,300 employees at Giga Texas. Coming into 2023, Shawhan said Tesla didn't have enough parking for workers. To fix the issue, the company is now building a parking garage near the factory. For comparison, Tesla employs about 20,000 people in Giga Shanghai. So one way to look at this is to say that Giga Texas employs too many people, but another way to look at it is Shanghai is a total beast. Yesterday morning, I said that I expect Cathie Wood to sell Tesla stock again because the allocation was still over 11%, and it actually happened. As you can see here, this is the third day in a row that Cathie Wood sold Tesla stock. Unless Tesla stock goes up a lot, I don't really expect Cathie Wood to sell again, because it seems that at least these last few sales were triggered by the allocation being over 11%. And now it is exactly at 11% in ARKK. Thailand's new prime minister said he held talks with Elon Musk during a visit to New York, and they discussed the electric vehicle industry. Here's an official statement from the Prime Minister. We had a good conversation about Tesla, SpaceX, and Starlink technology. I am impressed with the advance the group has made for the humanity, and we share a common view of the future for a cleaner world. We look forward to further discussions. Tesla started first deliveries in Thailand this February, and they seem to be very welcome, which is great. Based on EPA tests, here are the energy loss percentages for Model Y with 2170 cells compared to LFP cells in cold weather. The 2170 cells have nickel, cobalt, aluminum chemistry versus just straight LFP chemistry, and you can see that LFP actually does better. So if you live in cold weather, maybe LFP might be better for you. I still prefer a long-range version with 2170 cells because I live in an area where there are a lot of mountains, and when it gets cold, it's like a double whammy. You're driving through the mountains, and then the cold affects your battery, so the range is not all that good. If they had a long-range LFP version, maybe then I would go with LFP, but the energy density is just not as high with LFP. But if you are trying to save money, LFP is the obvious choice here. However, there's a comment that says not really, depends on battery temperature when charging LFP. Oh, but it's important to note here that cabin heating is not included here. So if you run a test and you also include cabin heating, that will also affect the LFP battery, maybe perhaps a little bit more if you think of percentages, because it will still take the same amount of power to heat your cabin, but in an LFP battery, it will take a higher percentage of a total battery because the total amount of energy that you can store in the battery is just less, even though you just use the exact same amount of energy. So it would appear that LFP would be worse because of that. There's a post from the limiting factor saying, that's weird, I would have to look into this. These results are the opposite of what I would expect. Interesting. So perhaps take these results with a grain of salt, and maybe we need some further testing and double checking. Dylan from Electrify just posted this, and he got called out for it, although he did have a pretty fair comeback. Earlier this year, there was chatter that Tesla had a demand problem in Europe. Even some in the Tesla community were parroting the narrative. Let's check the scoreboard year to date through August. The top 3 best-selling cars of any kind in Europe were, number 1, Tesla Model Y. Number 2, this cheap car which sells for $15,000. And number 3, Volkswagen T-Roc, selling at $35,000. Enough said, says Dylan. That's a nice picture. And someone said, sure, with endless price cuts and discounting. To which Dylan said, this actually made me laugh out loud. Nice one. Fair points, but Tesla told us this was the plan. Sacrifice margins to sustain continued growth if need be. In a few years, these discounts will be irrelevant. It's all about the setup for autonomy and the next generation platform. And while initially the Model Y, when it was unveiled, supposedly it was underwhelming and it had no surprises, deliveries started roughly in March, and I think Wall Street was caught off guard. The same will happen with the next generation vehicle from Tesla. Tesla's website now will help you choose which car from Tesla you should go with. You simply just come here, click on Get Started. What style of vehicle are you looking for? Let's say sedan or SUV. It shows you very good comparisons between the vehicles. Let's say I want to go with, and I'm flexible actually. Next, how far do you drive each day? Let's say I drive 40 to 100 miles. And then how will you use your electric vehicle? Road trips, occasionally errands, yes. Family driving, yes. Commuting, yes. Performance driving, maybe no. Technology, choose next. What do you want most from your next vehicle? I want range. And it gives you options. Model Y long range would be the first option. And then you can actually see your second option here as well. Second one would be Model 3 rear-wheel drive. Actually interesting. New customers will find it useful. This is especially good if you run an advertising campaign to people that have never heard of you, and then you present these simple options to them, and then it just picks which one you should go with. That would generally improve the conversion rate, meaning more people would buy the vehicle. I like how Tesla this year has been optimizing its website. Even with the same amount of visitors, I think Tesla is now making more sales because the website is now a little bit better. So the conversion rate should be higher to sales from visitors. The first V4 supercharger in Italy is now open. And here's another one in France. Seems like Tesla is installing more of them and faster. The pace is picking up. Tesla appears to be significantly expanding its ADAS team in Canada. There are currently 9 positions posted. Unlike the previous ADAS positions that were looking for test operators, these are more senior postings for ADAS operations supervisor and a lead ADAS operator. This could also possibly perhaps improve full self-driving in Canada. Look at this beautiful color. It looks pretty good. This is the new Model 3 Highland and Ultra Red from Giga Shanghai. They are being shipped to each store in China. The paint color is very nice. I agree. Certainly, Troy's wondering if there will be any deliveries this month. Chris often appears to have some insider information from Tesla. He says there will be no deliveries in September. Troy says, thanks. Do you know if they have produced a lot of Model 3 Highland for the domestic market so far and shipped them to delivery centers within China? Exports are low. I wonder where all the production went. And I will share with you now what this video was about that I posted on Sunday for my Patreons. At that time, the latest public estimate from Troy was 447,000 and the analyst consensus was 462,000. And then there was another update.
Has his estimate publicly at 442,000. I'm not going to share his exact updated number from Patreon, but I will say it's...
And on September 21st, Gary posted that his estimate is 445,000. The analyst consensus has not changed yet, and if we don't see any refreshed Model 3 deliveries in China, I think that estimate will have to come down a little bit. And since Monday, Tesla stock is down about 6%. Now the markets are also down, but I think people seeing these lower estimates is also putting some pressure on the stock. And don't get surprised if more analysts lower their estimates for this quarter, which could put some more pressure on the stock. I almost finished recording and I checked Tesla stock again. It is down 3% today. So in the last 5 days, it is down almost 9% now. One of the lessons here is if you're not a Patreon member of mine, you are missing out. So you may want to join right now by clicking on the link in the description. Alexandra says, can I tell you how happy it makes me to see that Tesla is recruiting heavily in legal and government affairs. I check this regularly and this is at least 2x to previous listings. Picking a fight with Tesla is just not going to be a good idea going forward. The UAW's strategy of having targeted strikes against the Detroit 3 aims to damage the company's reputations and keep them wounded for months, according to private messages written by a top aide to the union's president. At noon Eastern time today, all of the parts distribution facilities at GM and Stellantis are being called to stand up and strike. That's 38 additional plants across 20 states. No further strikes against Ford for the moment, though. Elon made a political comment here. 95% of all political contributions made by journalists in 2016 were to Democratic Party candidates and organizations. Elon says they are obviously not objective. Tesla is posting more about the Powerwall using Powerwall? DJK Vanguard Sports Club in Germany went from spending 600 euros per month on electricity to earning up to 20 euros per month. With Jaguar also now being on board and using Tesla's charging adapter, James is asking who will be the last to capitulate is between Volkswagen and Toyota in his opinion. You know, Toyota is adapting some things from Tesla, for example, gigacastings, and we haven't really heard anything like that from Volkswagen, so maybe Volkswagen will be the last one. Tesla's Fremont factory looks pretty busy. They are probably trying to move as many cars as possible before the end of a quarter. I generally agree with Ross Gerber here. Model 3 refresh talk on the turning stock and forward reverse stock. It's the same in the Plaid. I like the turn signals on the wheels. Feels like my Xbox, easy to use. I very much don't like the forward reverse on the screen. This is not easy to use and makes quick 3-point turns almost impossible. And he owns a Model S, I believe, Model S Plaid, so he speaks directly from experience, and he is a Tesla stock investor. One of my close friends has a Model X, and he says basically the exact same thing. I think in Europe, actually, Tesla should also add the stock for turning signals, because if you go into a roundabout, yeah, good luck trying to press on the turning signal on the wheel when your wheel is turned like that. So yesterday I might have been the first one to report on YouTube specifically about this apology from Pinplay, which is actually we know it as Ping West. This was the outlet that claimed that Elon Musk will be replaced as a CEO. Remember VinFast in Q2, they grew their deliveries by 435% from Q1 in just one quarter, so that's a lot. However, of the 11,000 EVs delivered, 7,310 were for green and smart mobility, according to Barron's, which is a related company. So they are basically selling the cars to themselves. On August 22nd, I said it is tempting to short VinFast. The market cap of the company at the time was $167 billion. Now it is only $36 billion, and it's only been about a month. I still think it is a bubble. So be careful with it if you are planning to invest in VinFast. Maybe don't. This is new. When your phone key is disconnected, a new improved phone key prompt appears on the security and drivers tab, which gives you some troubleshooting tips on how to get it working. I think some Tesla owners will certainly appreciate it. My Tesla app, though, works pretty well, so I'm pretty happy with it. Here's a story from The Fly. Barclays believes recent Tesla commentary on the pace of production provides some hints on the potential delivery volume in Q3 and forecasts 455,000 units to be delivered, which would be a miss compared to the consensus forecast for 463,000 units, and also below the firm's currently published estimate of 483,000 units. On Patreon, I have been talking about this a lot since Sunday, and now we are starting to see this actually happen. Developed entirely in-house, our audio system provides an excellent listening experience for music, gaming, or video content, no matter which seat you are in. This is a new post from Tesla. Let me play a few moments from that clip. Sorry, wrong clip.
In order to make a really good sound system for our customers, we need to meet many aspects of sound quality. Number one is tonal balance, enough bass, enough treble, etc. But also stereo imaging. You also want low distortion, and you want to be able to play loud. If all of these four things are really strong, then it's really a great sound system. In order to decide for the location of a speaker, there are different aspects. When a speaker is for high or mid frequencies, it's very important that it's in the right spot. For low frequencies, the spot is less important. It's more important that it has a really rigid mounting, so that's where these decisions are made.
This is an app we have which exposes a little bit more of what the DSP, that's digital signal processing, is available in the car. And so we're using this for diagnostics. So we can kind of come into a car and quickly figure out, is there a problem with this car? How's it sounding? By turning some things on and off. When we tune the car, we're going to take a bunch of measurements in each seat, and then we'll know the impulse response from the speaker to the listening position. We can figure out what the best filters are going to be so that each person in each seat is going to have a great listening experience.
This is Tessie, our head and torso simulator. It's used to tune telephony. It has a speaker in the mouth and microphones in the ears, so it can acoustically do everything a human could do. The measurements are done first, and then in the second level, we really listen to it and do fine adjustments.
If you missed my earlier video today, just a quick note that Tesla Model 3 Performance has appeared in certification documents for Europe, and it appears to have a new motor, so it should be faster than the previous one. This week I have been publishing one exclusive video per day on Patreon. I suggest that you watch this one if you are a Patreon member if you haven't yet, and I will have another exclusive video just for my Patreon members later today. By joining my Patreon, you will get access to how much I think it is fair to pay per Tesla share each year between 2023 and 2033. If you sign up for the investor tier of support, you will also get my valuation model of Tesla stock with a 45-minute video walkthrough. YouTube says you should watch this video next or watch this discussion about the future with Elon Musk. My name is Matt Post. Just like and subscribe if you haven't yet, and I will see you in the next video. Thank you so much for watching.